The clump of cells myth. What those Petri dish photos really show. They show you these Petri dish photos and say, see, just a clump of cells.
What?
But what if I told you that's the same logic as claiming the iPhone has nothing but a bunch of stuff inside? Imagine this. Someone lines up photos of the very first iPhone from 2007 to today's latest model. You know, they're all sleek little rectangles, they're a little bit different, bigger. And a person says, see, they're all basically the same. There's not much inside any of them, and that's that. You would immediately know that's a ridiculous conclusion. Because even though the outside looks similar at a glance, the inside has undergone an explosion of organized complexity, super complex processors, cameras, AI, battery tech, all evolving according to intentional design. Superficial snapshots of the outside miss the whole story, the important story. That's exactly what's happening with the viral Petri dish images labeled 5 weeks, 6 weeks, up to 9 weeks that people share to prove a human embryo is just a clump of cells. You know, those photos are real, but the conclusion is just as wrong as the iPhone example. These images come from early abortion procedures. They're real. They show the gestational sac, the amniotic sac, the protective house that surrounds the embryo, plus some rinsed tissue photographed in the Petri dish with a ruler for size reference. The actual embryo itself, though, is so tiny at these stages, it's either not visible or just barely seen after the procedure disturbs everything. A human embryo is more than a gestational sac or just a clump of cells. Here's what the science says about accurate embryology, and that tells us what's really happening inside. At 5 weeks gestational age, now remember, that's roughly 3 weeks from conception, from fertilization. The embryo is about the size of a sesame or poppy seed. That's tiny. Its neural tube, the foundation of the brain and the spinal cord, is forming, and a tiny heart tube is already pulsing at around 110 beats per minute. By 6 weeks, which is another image in the Petri dish, and that's about 4 weeks after fertilization, limb buds are appearing. Blood circulation is happening. They can actually measure brain waves. The heart is beating 100 beats per minute, and structures like eyes and ears and mouth take shape, and the 5 main sections of the brain are visible. That's cool. Now, by 7 or 8 weeks, another picture that they show, and that's roughly 5 to 6 weeks after fertilization, the embryo has grown to the size of a black bean. All major organ systems are present and rapidly differentiating. Bones are starting to replace cartilage, and the body is taking on a more recognizably human dimensions and proportions. Tiny movements are beginning. The other photo they show is at 9 weeks from gestation, and that's roughly 7 weeks after fertilization. Baby has already had 5.7 million heartbeats already. Muscles are forming. 1,600 new body parts will form this week alone. Girls have ovaries and boys have testes. Taste buds are developing, and a clear genetic blueprint is directing every step. Trillions of chemical reactions are happening every instant. From the moment of fertilization, this is a distinct, living, unique human individual with its own DNA directing its continuous organized development. It's never random. It's never just an undifferentiated clump. It's a highly coordinated biological process. It's called organogenesis in action. The clump of cells dogma myth has been a talking point in abortion debates for decades because it focuses on what the naked eye can see in low resolution, and it ignores the sophisticated, proven, peer-reviewed developmental evidence unfolding inside. But science doesn't lie. These are the earliest stages of a human being progressing exactly as humans are meant to grow. Don't judge the astonishing complexity of early human development by a single superficial snapshot. And so the accurate conclusion is clear. Human life in its earliest and most remarkable moment is at the beginning. Accurate science is always better than slogans. Every time. Thanks for listening. I'm Robert from Baby Life Begins.